This week we're looking at number 6 in our series on Deuteronomy. This one's entitled, "What Nation Is There So Great?" And of course, you can immediately take that as a great affirmation of nationalism. How wonderful our nation is. We are just so great. And you might be forgiven for wondering why Israel was saying something like that. Because what about the Assyrians? What about the Egyptians? What about the Babylonians later on? What about all these other great nations who really did rule the world? Israel never did that. So why are you being so proud? Well, we need to read on, as always, in Deuteronomy 4 verse 7 free Bible version. What nation is as great as us, having a God so close to them as the Lord our God is to us whenever we call on him? That's the point. That's the key. We're looking at God as the leader of our country. He is the one who is guiding us. He's the one who answers us. He's the one who helps us whenever we call on him. And whenever Israel remembered that, they did well. And when they didn't, they were lost. So any idea of nationalism in and of themselves, well, that was never going to work. And it doesn't work even for us today. Ideas of nationalism and patriotism when it comes to the Christian church, well, it's a whole different ball game, as they say. Paul says very clearly, there's neither Jew nor Greek. All these national boundaries are blurred out by the fact that you are now brothers and sisters together in Christ. And when you may be thinking, oh, I'm so glad I'm this particular person living in this particular country. Nothing wrong in being proud of your country, I suppose, but the important thing is not to allow that to exclude others and to think that you're better than all the rest. Here we have it very clearly demonstrated, enunciated in absolutely clear and transparent terms that they are God's special people and that they are a wonderful nation because of the God that they worship, who is a true God, unlike the gods of the Egyptians and the Babylonians and the Assyrians and all the other nations around who were false gods. Our God is a real God who really does help us. That's the point that they're making. And when Jesus argued with the Pharisees there in Matthew 15 about their traditions, and they said, oh, we're Abraham's children and we have this wonderful relationship with God because he has blessed us as a nation and so on. Jesus is saying, forget all that. Salvation doesn't come through some kind of descendant. You're not a lineage of salvation. This is not the way it works. And he is really trying to help them to understand that only as they remained faithful to what God had said, how they should have a relationship with him, that's the only way that they could be saved. It's mentioned there in the notes for this time in Numbers, the seduction of the Israelites by the Moabite women and so on, and then their decision that they really are going to follow God. And they keep on saying this, everything the Lord says we will do, and then they don't. How can you be really a truly wonderful nation if you're not following the God that you say you do? God makes the point time and time again. You can't simply say that you're an amazing nation and so on if you're not really following what I have said that you need to do in that relationship that we have. So as we think about that this week, let's apply all that to ourselves, not nationalistic or with a degree of patriotism, but to say we are now truly spiritual Israel. We are God's special people and we have a close relationship to him. And what people is as great as us, having a God so close to them as the Lord our God is to us whenever we call on him. We have a relationship with the true God, the God of heaven, the one who created everything around us, all this beauty, all this, even in this marred world of sin, who is the one who's leading us on to a world that is going to be incredible, where righteousness lives, an earth made new, where we can live together with our loving God. Let's think about that, and let's perhaps leave aside all this nationalistic fervour and concentrate on being fervent for the Lord our God.